Yo, can you guys hear me now? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me now. Yo. Can you hear me now? All right. Wow. That's interesting. That's totally interesting, fam. That thing would act up like that on me. It appears that the audio just changed up on its own. So I hope we are back now. If you guys are hearing me okay now, again, just say so in the chat so I can follow through. This is really weird. That was something that it changed up on its own. I mean, I hadn't done anything. I hadn't messed with any of those specs or anything. The audio just shut off. So, hey, I apologize for that. Welcome to the Friday night chop session with Stormybman. You know, I had the music going and everything, and it was, sounding pretty good at first, but to me. But it appears that things were not what they were supposed to be. So, but here I am. I'm back, and we're gonna get down to it. That's really weird. That's kind of messing with my mind. But anyway, welcome to the show. Salute to all you brothers out there. I had called off everybody who was in early. I'll pick it up from, let's see here. Pick it up from Curtis Price. He said no sound. And Loco Sports, salute to you. Gregory X is out there. Eric R. Chicano Prophet, Gregory X again, Bruce Goes, channel member, Young World, Thrill Hill, Faith in the Cross says, man, I know you're going to do it back in the day on the Norton and Holmes fight back in 77, 78. He says, it was the fight that drew me in and my love for the sport. I just saw it again. Wow. Gregory X now says loud and clear. Appreciate that. Jamil Allen, AK Jelly Bean, is out there, says salute to Bruce Goes. Eric R says, yes, sir. If you get any clear, you'll be my conscience. Okay. Bruce Gold says, Stormybman, KQKC froze 3 times today. Must be YouTube thing. Yeah, you know what? It's definitely YouTube, man. I am definitely a believer in that now. I know that I used to hear 78 talk about that a lot. They be playing with things because they track through our signals and everything, making sure that we not doing something that we shouldn't be doing. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now where they're sending stuff out through the internet and whatnot. Don't be surprised if the internet goes down next, just like that pipeline went down. So just know that, you know. Okay, Kano says we hear you. Eric R is asking, any left-handed brothers in the chat? What else we got here? Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens is out there, says salute my peoples. And I think I'm pretty much caught up. Curtis Price says yes sir. Yeah, man. We're calling this one boxing, gossips in boxing. You know, kind of threw me off now with this. Got to get back into my mix, my flow, because I was in a certain flow when we kicked it off. But yeah, and as we talk about that,
please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
that little kid cracks me up, man. That particular sound bite from that little African kid, man, his TV show, he plays out here on YouTube a lot. But I like that little sound bite he had. Sounds like a little man. Big homie Coops is out there. He says, salute Sifu. Back smack that like button. Yes, sir. Chicano Prophet says, I also think they might shut the internet down for a minute in the future when the big change happens. Yeah, that very well may be. Gregory X says, if the internet crashes, all travel and commerce crashes with it. Hey, listen, man. It's going to happen. Just be prepared as you can be. That's all. You know, for those of you that this is a major source of income for you, you better be putting something away and look to do some things outside of here. Because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is all by design. Everything is by design. So, but yeah, we're going to get down on to the show now. And I apologize for the sound problem from earlier. But we're good now. And we're going to keep on rolling. Wow, I just couldn't believe that was acting up like that. Where were I? I trying to remember something now and can't remember. Oh, to get along with the first particular topic of this evening's show, I wanted to speak on fight promoter Ed Hearn. Now, Ed Hearn is a guy that, just like most promoters in the sport, he's always looking to make the best of deals within what he's doing, you know, even at the expense of the fighters that he may be promoting. And as of late, this man has been like sitting up talking about the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight, the Battle of Brits, you know, the biggest fight in British history. Salute to the Jab Jamboree. I see you out there. You know, since Frank Bruno fought Lennox Lewis, I guess, over 100 years of a Brit being heavyweight champion. Listen, man, why don't this guy go sit down somewhere? You know, he has nothing to do with what's going on with Tyson Fury at the moment, yet and still he would have people believe that he has really solidified some type of deal that would put his fighter against Tyson Fury in the next big fight of the year, or the, you know, heavyweight division, as so goes the heavyweights. And for the past couple of months, this man has been you know, at the forefront, jabbing his jaws and everything, talking about, you know, the fight, and the fight is going to be made. The contracts are signed, and an announcement is coming soon, and you know, more and more and more. It's like we've been hearing this stuff from him, and I really don't know why, when there's so much to be said with what's going on between the arbitration with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. And this man still seems to be sticking his nose in the place of, you know, where it doesn't belong. And he really wants to make this fight now, right? But when Deontay Wilder had the WBC title, he was not trying to make that fight. He was not trying to make that fight. In fact, he created all types of roadblocks, stumbling blocks, what do they call it? Sleight of hand and everything. Remember the contract negotiation that supposedly took place where Deontay had agreed to some terms and only asked that a rematch clause be put in and things like that, and he wouldn't do that. And then there were things, they had sent the contract, but there were things left off the contract purposefully, and all of that. But all of a sudden now he has found his ink pen. He has found his way of making the deal, you know, and we're supposed to believe him. This man is so full of it, man. And is it because he wants to make a deal? And this is interesting, people. Just hear me out here. He wants to make a deal for Fury to fight Joshua now. But Joshua is one of the most vulnerable champions in recent memory. Vulnerable in the sense that it doesn't look like he may hold on to those titles very long if he gets out there and starts defending. And that's something you have to pay attention to, because if that be the case, he may be looking to make a deal so he can have Fury in his graces. Think about it. I want to say salute to my man Taylor Bell out there in that super chat. He says good evening at Stormybman and chat. Thank you, Taylor Bell. Super chat donation, man. The brother is always supporting the channel and doing his thing out there, supporting with super chats, man. Appreciate Taylor Bell, my right hand man behind the scenes producing the show. Listen, this man, it wouldn't surprise me if he wanted to make some kind of deal with Tyson Fury. You know how Tyson Fury, you know, when he fought Deontay the first time, he ended up making a deal with Bob Arum. And see, Tyson Fury is like operating on two sides of the pond. Now, if you think about it, Don King used to manipulate the heavyweight division. You know, he used to manipulate the heavyweight division by keeping guys on options. Like, you beat his fighter, he has an option on a future fight for you. So in all purpose, you'll be fighting for Don King. I think that Mr. Hearn is trying to get in on that type of action. I can't prove it. I don't have any evidence where something has transpired thus far. But this is a fight between heavyweights you're talking about, and they generate the big bucks when you're at the top of the division with the titles. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. You know, it wouldn't surprise me in the least. Hold on one second, fam. Got a phone call coming in. Hello. I'm on live. All right. Well, I tell you, when it rains, it pours, don't it, fam? It's like people calling. And nobody ever called me while I'm on live. And then I had this audio problem. And then now here's some family calling me and I'm on live. Man, I tell you, can't get it. Anyway, but what we're talking about here is options. Now, I think that Fury is signed on the Europe side, UK side, Britain side with Frank Warren. But it wouldn't surprise me if he has a loose negotiation with Warren or agreement where in order to make certain fights, he can step out. Just like he stepped out with Bob Arum over here. There may be something like that. And Hearn may be trying to angle that because with all of those titles on the line, if AJ were to lose to Tyson Fury, that will wipe Hearn out, right? Because he's had those titles for the past couple of years. So what would be better than to have Tyson Fury in his graces and have options, you know? And maybe that's one of the reasons why he really wants to get this done, because if he risks putting AJ in there with someone else like a Usyk or even a Joe Joyce, you know, someone of that nature, it's like there's a chance that he might lose the fight. Remember, he did not look great against Pulev, and Pulev is really lower tier fighting in the division. He really is. I was surprised that Pulev was able to go as long as he did. It looked like in the first or second round, AJ could have took care of business, but he didn't. So, and the longer that they can keep the titles away from Deontay Wilder, the better off they are, because with the titles and calling shots with the titles, they can continue to play games with him. But if he gets one of those titles back or he gets the WBC title, what will happen is he can call shots. You know what I mean? Because his name is something in the sport. He's a bigger figure than the other guys. Even though they may have more titles and belts on the line, it's like Deontay is the man. And Deontay is the fighter that people want to see because he's exciting. He knocks people out. You know what I mean? And that makes a difference in the fight. It really does. So think about it like that. So Eddie is looking to monopolize, but he's looking to monopolize with the specific thing in mind. Man, look at me. Everything is messing up on me this evening. Even my little, I don't know, man. It's like, it's a bad night for me, brother. It's a bad night for me. But anyway, as we get down into this, it's something to think about, something to keep on the table, because if what I'm saying has any solidity to it, it's like, it's something to think about with how he's playing this game. And see those younger fighters like the Usyks and Joe Joyce's, he can kind of press for options on them if he were trying to, you know, make those deals. But nothing takes place until all those titles are under one umbrella. And this is what they're trying to do. And do it without Deontay Wilder running interference, because Deontay could throw a huge wrench into all of their plans, because he could you know, pretty much beat all of these guys. It don't matter who would have a title when he fights for it. It's like he'll defeat them, but it's like they just want to freeze him out. They want to box him out, like keep him on the outside. And it's not going to work. They've delayed and held up the division long enough, and you're going to see that certain fighters, they're going to just say, hey, man, I want to fight. And they're just going to start. They're not going to stay in line and wait and see what AJ does. And he's the least likely to keep, you know, belts for a duration. I want to say salute to my man Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, who's joined us here on the show this evening. What's good with you, Reggie? How you doing, bro?
Doing good, OG. How's it going?
Man, tonight is kind of one of those nights, Reggie. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong. I started the show out with no audio and didn't realize that my audio had just switched again. Remember we talked about this once before where the audio just kind of switched and I had to go back and set the speakers on a different setting and stuff like that. It did it again. And I was here for a few hours just putting images in the system. So when we did the show, I have some pictures and stuff to put up. Hadn't even touched the audio and it switched on its own. And we did the Three Wise Men last night. I didn't change anything, just shut the computer off, shut it back on today. So the computer is doing its own thing, but somebody out there in the chat, I think it was Bruce Goals, he said that KQKC system was acting up on him today, froze up on them 3 times. So there could be some things that they're sending through the airwaves through YouTube that is causing glitches. I definitely feel a little stronger about that now. So, but that's all. I was just kind of explaining what was going wrong as we started the show. Then I got a phone call. It's like I never get a phone call while I'm doing shows, but it's like then I got a phone call this night from family. So what's going on with you?
Oh man, nothing. Making it in the house. Glad to be up off of work.
I know that's
a little
right.
bit.
I know that's right. I'm tired of work, Reggie. I'm ready to retire, man. I really am. I wanted to ask you, did you have something you would like to chime in on where we're talking about Ed Hearn and how he's trying to jockey for a power position in the heavyweight division, even though the other promoters outside of Bob Arum have been relatively quiet because of, everybody really knows that Deontay Wilder pursued arbitration against Tyson Fury, and that has to be ironed out. But this man just cannot shut his mouth, and he's been out here promising stuff, talking about an announcement's gonna be made, and he's an announcement for an announcement, and then we'll get back to you next week, and we'll have something for you. And now he's confirming an August date. I think it's August 14th. This man just won't shut up, Reggie. And I was saying before you hopped on, I was saying that it wouldn't surprise me if he's jockeying for position to have options on Tyson Fury. And not because Tyson is all that and everything, but because Joshua is a vulnerable guy. And he's not really the most, I wouldn't say he's the most mentally strong guy out there. But it's nice to have guys in the stable, and Don King did that. He had options on fighters. And it didn't mean that he was their promoter in every single fight. But when they had big fights or key fights, Don King was involved, or he got some money out of it or something. And it wouldn't surprise me in the least if that was what Ed Hearn is angling to do. Remember, Usyk and Joe Joyce, those guys are coming up, and they are immediate challengers for a couple of those titles that AJ is holding on to. But he doesn't want to do anything before possibly putting him in with Fury, because AJ, being the vulnerable champ that he is, it looks like he can lose one of those belts. Then rather than give him up by vacating, he'd rather get this fight on with Fury and let something happen there. And once that fight takes place, they have at least 6 months to a year for a rematch. You know what I mean? So it's like he's trying to stretch things out, if you understand what I mean. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I think Ed Hearn is just out here to get it. And he's gonna get it while the getting is good. He's looking to try to capture everything that's hot out there. And he's achieved one piece by being able to snatch up Canelo. He was very successful in that. That's a huge piece. And looking at the options at this heavyweight thing, there's no better position to be in than to have a potential undisputed at this at that level. And there's a possibility he's doing the doggy dog thing. Majority of these promoters are doggy dog. They undercut each other, they backstab each other, and it's all about a dollar for them. And Eddie Hearn being a young, vibrant dude, and he's here to capture every single penny that's out there, man. He's a straight up shark. He's a straight up shark, and that's all that he is, whether he tells a lie or not. And even if it is a lie, he'll never admit to a lie. He'll treat it as if it's the truth. That's what them kids who come from that kind of background do. You see a lot of Ivy League types, even ones who come out of Yale, Harvard, and all that stuff. They'll lie to you with a straight face and will never admit to lying to you, even if proven wrong. They stick to their guns, and that's just who he is. He's been taught that. His father probably come from that school. A lot of these wealthy background people come from a school like that. They don't care who gets hurt along the way. It's all about the bottom line. That's a dollar. So him going after these fighters is what he's in the game for. And each one of these fighters is a financial possession to him. They just gonna make him more and more money. They'll make money along the way, but he'll find a way to increase what he's gonna pull in for himself, which would be more than what those fighters are making. So if he put an option out there, he could probably do it, but I think he'll face a hard time trying to pull something on Bob Arum and his team. And it's probably also something Tyson Fury and them looking at. That's why you always hear where Eddie said, we got the paperwork, and then it comes out, Fury ain't signed the paperwork. There's something like this, or something not right in the paper, and it's probably one of these things, like you stated, the options that he made one on him. You also think when the Gary Russell and them was public, that Bill Hayne and them trying to put an option out on Gary as well. So they're all trying to do that because if they lose something, they want to still be able to gain something. They don't want everything to just fall apart. And Eddie losing Anthony Joshua is almost like a house of cards. I think the thing that ensures him is the fact that, well, not guaranteed, because now there's going to be options and bargains for Canelo, because he's a huge deal that's out there. So Eddie's hunger and Eddie's survival is at stake as well when it comes to this thing.
Yeah, and I think also that when you talk about options, it's a lot more like I had indicated with, let's just say, if you've got a guy and he is a titleist, and I consider AJ a unified titleist, you can do a lot with having options on him. I mean, on his opponent, his potential opponent, because if he loses, it's like he goes out into a situation where he's got, he goes off to the side because he lost, but the guy who defeated him, you have extended money, because even if you don't promote his next fight, you might have an option that says, like, if he's fighting a top 5 contender, you get a part of that purse for the promotion or whatever, or even to promote the fight or whatever. And see, that's the thing. It's not so much about losing, because if it was about losing, Ed Hearn would have more of the fighters in his stable, but that's not what he's chosen to do. It's like it's the titles that he's looking to hold on to. He's looking to hold on to those titles and keep them over there in the UK for as long as he can. And with Fury, because Fury is still a Brit, it's like that's right up the alley. So to be able to, let's say that Fury beat Joshua and they had a rematch. Now, Hearn wouldn't have options on the rematch, but if Fury won the rematch, then the options would kick in. Okay, your next fight, if it's a number 1 contender like Usyk, or a guy who could move up to a number 1 contender spot like a Joyce, I get the right to promote that fight. And when he promotes that fight, he can put his terms on that fight. You see what I'm saying? So he's always got his hand in the cookie jar. No matter how filthy his nails is, you just see him still always in there. And that's how, parasites thrive, off of a host. So this is what I see him trying to do. Now, in the meantime, if there's a younger stud coming up, and they can't get to a certain level, he can help that guy by saying, hey, if you sign up with me, I could get you a deal. I could get you here. I could get, and within a year or 2 years, I could get you a title shot. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, that's how it works. It's a lot different from what King was doing, because King had a stable of fighters, you know, and conflicting interests. It's like his guy is fighting his guy, and that way he didn't lose. You know what I mean? And then and one guy knock a guy out, King step over him and go raise the other guy hand. My man. You know what I mean? It's like that's what he did. And he got away with it for a very, very long time. So this is them trying to be smart and do it in a different manner. That's all I was trying to present out there. But listen, it's just something to be, discussed, because remember, even Bob Arum and Frank Warren had told this guy, shut up. The arbitration is going strong. It's like, you don't keep talking about, and he hasn't shut up. In fact, he's doubled down, and eventually when all of this is said and done, some of those guys, they may not want to work with him or whatever, but he may be in a driver's seat depending on what kind of deals that he can negotiate if he is, if he's the man, if he's the guy that's got say so over what's going to happen in the future or whatever. That's why I think he's trying to really, hold on to Tyson Fury. But Frank Warren should have something to say about that, because Tyson Fury is Frank Warren's guy, right? I thought that's who he was with. But it just goes to show, it's like there's no loyalty among thieves out here. These guys are something, man. All of them. So that's my comment on it, Reg.
No, that's all I had on it.
Yeah. So, but hey, man, let's move on into some other conversation. I see that your guy Teofimo Lopez has been out there talking crap, and he's voicing himself as being the man. He's the undisputed champ, he says. Devin Haney is nobody, and he says when he finishes with Kambosos, he can start, talking about these other guys or whatever, meaning Devin, but at the same time, he's talking about it as if, he is already the undisputed champ, which he is not, but this is, we've seen this with this guy, and the sanctioning bodies are kind of like, they're letting it go, but this guy is not undisputed, man. And he's trying to come across as he's got this, these interviews he's conducting, and it's like, it really sounds horrible listening to him, and his dad, because they're acting like they've achieved, what they have not achieved. And I don't like it because the media isn't even calling them on it. It's like the interview that I just saw with him. I think it was on one of those boxing interview shows, and the kid was just talking crap. And I'm like, dude, you're not the undisputed champ yet. You still got some work to do. Yeah, you beat Vasily Lomachenko, but you want to even get a guy a rematch. The guy wants a rematch. You don't want to give him a rematch. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Teofimo, Reggie, and how he's behaving and how they're posturing as if they are the, the undisputed champion?
Man, to be honest, I really ain't got no issue with Teofimo. I want to see where he goes from here. I want to see where he moves forward. I like that he's talking that ish. I want to see if he's going to back it up, if he's going to take the Devin Haney. He's talking a lot of big time talk, and I want to see where he moves. He's achieved what should have been achieved by Tank Davis. Tank Davis ran away from that Lomachenko fight. This kid stepped in there and he took it. I gotta give him his credit. Gotta give him his credit. He talks a lot of stuff. That's what you want to hear. I want to hear somebody that's vocal. Even at some point, there's things about Teofimo I don't like. I ain't like when he was trying to label Tyson Fury as being the next Muhammad Ali and all that other stuff. He says a lot of way out stuff, but if he's going to be vocal and he's willing to get in the ring and back it up, I want to see, because him in that any fight is going to be, that's going to be a huge fight, especially for these young up and coming dudes. They should be in the ring at this point in their career. They should be in the ring together. Devin Haney and them need to keep talking what they talked about him, because obviously it's getting under his skin and it's going to force him into that fight. He has to make this fight, and especially with the talk he's talking, calling Devin an email champ, labeling himself as undisputed. Devin Haney challenging that. Not even Mauricio can fully name him as an undisputed champion. So Teofimo's feeling that way. I seen him on that short part of that interview he's supposed to do with Andre Bertel. He was talking the talk he was talking. Kambosos, now you can't look past Kambosos, because Kambosos is ready to take off his head. And that should be an entertaining fight, being that there's been a lot of talking. They seem to not like each other, but he got Kambosos problems. If he gets through Kambosos, like he stated, him and his father want Devin Haney next. They sick of Devin Haney, and that's just going to open the door to who's going to be undisputed, and it's going to be a high-quality fight because they both dislike each other. And I can't say I got anything against Teofimo except it's things he has said, like one for trying to call Tyson Fury the next Muhammad Ali, some of the butt pissing they were doing with the networks. But once he pulled that maneuver on Bob Arum with breaking away, getting himself the money that he felt that he was worthy of with the Thrill thing, I got respect for the kid. That's my thoughts on it.
Okay, but if you got a problem with him saying Tyson Fury is like the next Muhammad Ali, why do you have a problem with that?
Because Tyson Fury ain't that. And I know the reason why he was doing it. He was doing it as playing this company guy for Top Rank. He was doing a lot of this shucking and jiving to be a company man for Top Rank, to try to get certain things, because he knew the next thing he'll go to Bob Arum for was money. And that ended up falling off flat in his face. And plus he has issues with Deontay Wilder. That's another reason why he was making that.
Okay. See, and this is why I'm asking you these questions. So if Tyson Fury ain't that, okay, Tyson Fury ain't that, then, hey, man, Teofimo ain't that either. You understand? But he walking around here like he is. I think I'm losing my voice. Now my voice is going. But he's walking around here like he is. He ain't undisputed. He ain't really done nothing but beat up a guy who we thought was a hype job anyway. Let's see him go out there. Let's see what he does with Kambosos. Yeah. I want to see Kambosos get in there and really challenge him in a manner of which that Mr. Lomachenko, the hype job, didn't do. See, I'm not discrediting Tio for his victory over Vasily. But I just feel like there were some other fighters who could have defeated Vasily if they were granted the opportunity that he was granted. So, you know, the one I can't give any credit to was Tank Davis, because even when Vasily was like, come on, Tank, let's do it, Tank ran away. His people didn't want to put him in there, even though he had a darn good, decent chance to have an opportunity there. And I don't know, man. It kind of fell in T.O.'s lap. He took advantage of it, and he was successful. But run it back and get that man his opportunity to fight for his titles again. Just like when, you know, other fighters have lost the title. AJ lost his title to Andy Ruiz. They let him fight a rematch. He got his title back. Let's see if Vasily could get his title back. And then if you defeat him that second time, then you can kind of pop your collar a little bit and move on to those things. But that wasn't what he wanted to do. And like when you say like you don't like how he, you know, trying to say like Tyson Fury is the next Muhammad Ali or whatever. I don't like him saying he's undisputed champ, and he ain't. And he didn't even give the guy. Remember, we just did a show on this recently when we talk about rematches and stuff like that. When you fight someone and you get the best of them one time, run that back. especially if it's a guy who was a long-standing champ or who had been a champ and had several defenses, and you give him a chance to get back in there and win his title back. If you defeat him that second time, then yeah, you got the best of him twice. That's great in a row. But that's not what he's doing. And I just got a problem. And with this other stuff that he's saying, the stuff that his dad is saying, they're going around, you know, it's like spreading their wings and everything, but ain't nothing happened yet. They just got these titles, yeah, but it's like it's still work to be done. And I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying, let's see you go through some challenges first and see what you're doing. But it's like, you know, being Hollywood up front, that usually is set up for a bad end. That's all I'm saying, you know. But hey, man, it's a new day, you know. Maybe, you know, I'm just getting older to the point that I can't accept that things were done a different way at a different time. And it's like nowadays it's okay to be, you know, you do a little something and people pat you on the back and want to make you the greatest and make statues out of you and everything. And you ain't did shit. That's all.
Yeah, no, I can't take nothing from the kid because he's done what he's done. And there's still a lot left for these cats. Ryan, I'll criticize Ryan because what he did was a sucker move. I think Teofimo still got a lot left on the plate that he can move forward on. Vasily played himself. Vasily really played himself in that fight. He did a lot to play himself. He's done a lot to play other fighters as well. So I ain't too hyped up on Vasily being given Vasily getting a automatic rematch because he done a lot of sucker stuff in the game too. Because he should have been fighting Devin Haney before that. The Tank Davis and them ain't done what they should have been doing because Tank Davis should have been in there to see where he was. But here is Tank Davis bouncing all around divisions here and there. Hopefully, if Teofimo don't duck Devin Haney and that's the fight he fights next, I got to keep giving him his credit. I can't knock him. He's supposed to talk the talk he's talking as long as he's going to back it up. No. Rather people be humble about stuff, but achieving what he's achieved at that young age, a young cat's gonna do that. But that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, this Kambosos fight is not going to be an easy fight, so we'll learn more, you know, when this takes place. So we can look forward to that. And you know, I don't say it like I look forward to him losing. I mean, I want to see him in some fights. I want to see him challenged. You know, he's a young talent. Let's see what he could do. You know, that's all I'm trying to say with that. But yeah, we can move forward, and let's talk about your boy Canelo. Canelo is a guy who coming off of his victory now over Billy Joe Sanders, it appears that he may have his sights set on Caleb Plant next. And I kind of wonder for Caleb Plant, because is Caleb, you know, ready for this big step up? It's going to be a huge step up for Caleb. And we know Canelo, when what's his name, Demetrius Andre came at him at the press conference, you know, Canelo had some choice words for him. And it was kind of funny, Reggie, because you know, I've been waiting all these years for Canelo to start doing some interviews in English. And this was a week where he did a interview with Brian Custer and a couple of other guys, you know, and ladies, you know, and he talked English and everything, which I knew he could always speak English, but it's just funny to finally hear him. And then at that press conference, when Andre came at him,
get the fuck out of here, man. Please get the fuck out of here, man. This is my life.
to have that as a soundbite coming off of Canelo, man. I was rolling, man, and I said to myself, well, he has officially arrived. Because, you know, when you could tell somebody where to go when they coming at you, even in kind and soft words like Andre did, you know, hey, man, I got to give it to Canelo. You know what I mean? That was just hilarious to me. And you're going to hear this a lot, you know. You're going to hear this a lot, Reggie, because I just feel like, man, the kid, and I call him a kid because I'm older than him, but, you know, to hear him come out there and talk to Andre like that, man, I just found it was hilarious for me. It was hilarious. What were your thoughts on that when you finally heard Canelo?
Oh man, I was dying, man. That was the funniest thing I listened to in a long time, man. I was rolling, man. Get the he say so for him to learn. That's the first thing people learn when they learn some new language is how to cuss in it.
Yeah.
So he made sure he did the live job. But no,
he said it on time too. It was like, get out of here. It's like,
no, it was like when he first heard Boo Boo calling for him, he said, he said, this guy. He put his head down, I was dying. Like, oh, man, here we go. That's what Boo Boo was like. Boo Boo felt embarrassed because everybody started laughing, man. But I like what Boo Boo did, too. But Boo Boo has played himself so much that Canelo had every right to talk to him the way that he did. Boo Boo has really played the game wrong. He's really played the game wrong. And what he's looking for is the big-time lottery win. That's what everybody want with Canelo. They want that big-time lottery win. And a lot of them probably ain't even qualified to even be in that ring with him because they haven't taken the game serious enough. But I still want to see them fight. I ain't going to say he's worthy of not fighting them, but I love how Canelo clowned him because he embarrassed the heck out of him. Hopefully that inspires Boo Boo. And the other thing with Boo Boo is how I can't take Boo Boo serious is because I haven't heard nothing else about Boo Boo. Once again, Boo Boo faced the blackness when he could have took advantage of that moment. That moment right there put the most shine on Boo Boo Andrade in his whole career. Ain't none of his fights put him on shine like that. I can't say none of them old whack interviews he does when he's at a fight trying to bring prominence to his name and it fails. But the moment in which he got clowned by Canelo was the most shine he got to where people start noticing who the heck he is because everybody's laughing at him. But he could have took that moment and start running with it. But he's saying a bunch of clown stuff he putting into print rather than getting on to a live or doing his own live on Instagram and talking about it, chasing after Canelo. And then he talking about he gonna do it with Charlo. Like he gotta keep it up. He gotta do more to bring notice to his name, but hopefully he don't clout chase because he gonna keep getting clowned. But that Canelo thing was the most hilarious thing. I was dying when I tried to play it the second time. I think I was doing a live stream. I was playing it. I couldn't even almost finish that video. I was laughing so much, man.
Hey, just before we move on, one more time.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Please get the fuck out of here, man. It's my night.
That's hilarious, man. That brother, you know what? And he said it like he been saying that a long time too. It's like, I bet when he's sitting around with his friends and they be talking stuff, and somebody say, "Yeah, man, I had like 10 women one time at the same time." He's like, "Get that," you know. Canelo, man. Good to hear him speaking English, though, and that's not a slam against anybody who doesn't speak English. Let me say that first and foremost. But it's just that knowing that I knew all the while he could speak and communicate in English, but it's like, you know, he's more comfortable representing, and that's great. But now to just, you know, open it up a little bit like that makes it more engaging. People want to hear what he got to say, and he might say something funny, and it might be unintentionally funny, or it might be classic, like what Boo Boo got over the weekend at the press conference. So, you know, salute and hats off to Canelo for that and for his victory over that chump Billy Joe Saunders. Yes, sir. Good work there, Canelo. Yeah, Reggie, let's move on about his potential next nemesis in Caleb Plant, where Plant is talking about, he don't think that people are respecting what he has to offer and what he's doing out there. So as a look at what's ahead, what are you thinking? What are your thoughts on the potential for victory for Plant against Canelo? I mean, you don't have to do a full-scale breakdown at this time, but looking ahead at the fight, do you think that he's going to at least be able to offer more than what Billy Joe was able to do?
I mean, he has the skills to provide more, but the other stuff comes in to what he puts into training. Caleb got to get his cardio conditioning up. He got to get his conditioning way up because Canelo ain't going to let you relax. It takes a lot to hurt Canelo. Caleb has to worry about those hands. He's going to have to be able to put his shots together and be able to score through those rounds. But who knows how well Caleb's power translates over to how well he does against being able to wear down Canelo. Is he going to get stronger for this camp, keep his endurance proper? I seen him releasing a video right after that about him doing training, working on stairs. But he really has to tear himself down and build himself back up to make sure he doesn't have these moments to where he starts to fade away, which he shows that at times in fights. So if he can correct that in the Canelo fight, maybe get it to where you may have to take a round and a half off, and then be able to catch that second win. But he's going to have to really put in that groundwork right now in that camp. Keep his diet proper, keep his strength right, and be able to carry on because he has the great footwork. He has the best boxing ability that's in this current class of boxing in most of these divisions. When you compare him to most boxers out here, Caleb Plant has better footwork and hands against these guys. He's a very slick boxer, but the thing is, can he maintain it without fading? And can he move around? Can he get on that bicycle, move out the way of Canelo when he is starting to feel a little faded and unable to kind of get off those punches, try to buy himself some time? But Canelo's a tough fight, man. He's a tough fight, man. And he's a hard dude to break down. I haven't really seen him hurt. Haven't really seen him hurt at this point, except that fight a long time ago. Other than that, dude's iron. He's iron, man. He's straight up iron. And Caleb got to be a piece of iron in there as well. But he's going to have to be able to keep Canelo at the end of the jab. Canelo, early on when people have success, they have success off the jab with Canelo. So he has to maintain that. He has to be able to put these combinations on him. But Caleb ain't a guy who's going to go out there looking for the knockout. But if he can break Canelo down some, slow him down, he may get a chance of defeating Canelo. These are going to be Canelo's toughest fights coming up in these next group of guys that he has lined up along with him. But they have to make sure they're in the best of shape because Canelo's a hard defeat. He's a hard guy to defeat.
Well, looking ahead, I think that this is a fight where you would have liked to have seen Caleb Plant in there with someone to really challenge him and let us know how good he is. Yes, he can box. Yes, he has sweet hands, as they say, and nice combinations, but he doesn't have a lot of pop on his punches. And he tires in the middle rounds. Not the later rounds, in the middle rounds, And I have a situation in my mind where I think about fighters like I want to see them in a step up type situation. And I hate to use step up because step up is usually reserved for a prospect. But when you're competing at the world class level, we need to know that you are capable of being in there with someone and have an opportunity to win, not just the opportunity to show. And I think we are seeing so many guys today that are titleists and haven't done enough or been in a position enough to show that they are really championship caliber material. Now, had he went ahead and fought a David Benavidez and defeated Benavidez, that would have made him prepared for Canelo. It would have. But he didn't. And against this Caleb Truax that he just fought, he didn't look good. Now, some people are like saying like, well, maybe he was intentionally trying not to look good because he wanted Canelo to be suckered into a fight. That is a defeatist attitude, bro, to even think like that. Who goes out there to look bad on purpose? Seriously, you're not that doggone good. You understand? Canelo could actually do that. He has experience, but Caleb don't have the experience that Canelo has. And he's not the fighter that Canelo is. So at the end of the day, looking ahead, he has not done enough in his body of work to show me that he is ready for that level. And the event is going to be the biggest event of his life. I don't care if he has great, outstanding, amateur, whatever. It don't matter. It's going to be the biggest event of his life. It's probably going to be the biggest money of his career. Is probably going to be the most nervous he's ever been in all of that. And remember, you talk the talk and then you have to walk the walk. When you get in there and that bell rings for the first time and across from you is the man that they're calling pound for pound, not necessarily me, but they're calling him pound for pound. He's an accomplished guy, you know, and the last person to defeat him was Floyd Mayweather, who is way away from the sport now. And now it's your turn to step up and show what you got. It may be, you know, curtains for Plant. It very well may be. And I leave a sliver of hope that he will be able to do something. But my consensus thought is that he ain't ready. And he has done nothing to put himself in a position to be ready. The guys that you have boxed, Canelo could have beaten those guys easily. And throwing you in there with the guys that you fought, meaning Plant, I see Canelo defeating him easily. When you saw him start going to Billy Joe Saunders' body with, you know, emphatic intent to do damage to Billy Joe, that's when the fight left Billy Joe. That's when the fight left him. And Canelo knew he was going to have to bang the guy's body to break him down to get to him. Billy Joe didn't even offer up any resistance at that point. He's supposed to know that that's Canelo's chances to go to the body. Why did he make himself available? Leaning against the ropes and stuff, and then leaning over his front feet where he got hit with that uppercut that gave him the good night shot. So it's like, these guys are all front runners, Reggie. And you take a guy like Canelo, who has so much more experience, and you can see it when he fights. And it's going to take somebody who has something boxing-wise and a little bit special to defeat the guy. You're not just going to go in there and outbox Canelo Alvarez. You're not going to go in there and just knock him out because you got a punch. You're going to have to fight. You're going to have to box. You're going to have to put it all together. You're going to have to be able to endure. You're going to have to take some as well as give what you give. And you're going to have to be able to outthink him for 12 rounds if necessary. And that's a tall task right there. And I believe that Caleb Plant is not up for it. But I will tune in and watch the fight. And I don't say what I say as hate for Plant. I see his shortcomings. And Canelo has shortcomings too. But his are enough that can be covered up with everything else he has to offer, that some of these other guys are just not at his level at this time. And if they were fighting each other and could get the experience and gain out of that, they could prepare themselves to get in there with someone like Canelo. So, those are my thoughts on that, Reggie.
Yeah, they all better get ready and prepare themselves because them calls are right around the corner for a lot of these dudes. And preparation is everything. A lot of these dudes, I don't know why they ain't fighting the talent that's amongst them. Everybody wants to stay undefeated is the problem. And they think by being undefeated makes them more of a attractive fighter for getting one of those calls, attractive to the people who voice opinions for you should be fighting this guy, you should be fighting that guy. But a lot of them are building these records without preparation needed. But it is what it is. Hopefully they're getting the proper teachings. They have the right trainers that are coaching them. And they're watching the tape on who they're getting in the ring with because they have to respect them. A lot of them come to the press conference, they're respecting the guy, but best believe they better have the highest level of respect when they step in that ring from Canelo, because a lot of them aren't used to that moment. I think that's what shook Billy Joe. Billy Joe was in that fight scared. That moment got too big. Canelo's used to it. Canelo's adjusted to everything that comes with these moments outside of being across from another opponent, especially if he's packing you in with 70,000 fans. It may get larger than that. How does that mess with a fighter psychologically? The fighters can't act like they ain't walking in, seeing all these people in here, that they ain't shocking their system. A lot of them already walk out those gyms. Even the most bravest fighter will walk out of a locker room and jitters start to set in. The moment them crowds get to you, hear one boo or this and that messes with you, you may never be able to get your mind back right into a fight. And you may be a better fighter than what you're performing like. And Billy Joe just showed he was scared. And Canelo's way better dude than what people may think. But they have to be prepared. And Caleb got to be prepared because Canelo ain't going to show no mercy. And it may set him back if he's not able to pick himself up if he is defeated like that. If it's a bad defeat, if it's a close defeat, if it's a close defeat and he find himself competing very well against Canelo, it could be something that brings him up, that he can feed up off of and build up from, and hopefully he can build himself up to get another fight with Canelo. But that's my thoughts with that.
Yeah, it's going to come down to, another situation where we've seen this in the past, where a guy who you thought might have been ready, up and coming because he could box, he looked great and showcase opportunities, but then he met what they say on the video game, the final master or whatever it is like, and you find out that, man, he just didn't have it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what this is going to be. But for those people out there that like Caleb Plant, just understand when you do see these men in the ring and you see the difference in the talent, then you'll understand what I'm talking about. Then you'll understand, and again, I don't say that with hate or wanting Caleb Plant to lose, but you heard me give a scenario where it would have been beneficial for him had he went ahead and fought someone like Benavidez, or if he had fought what's the other 168 pounder Reggie? Dang, I can't think.
Benavidez.
Huh? I said Benavidez, but there was another guy that was.
Oh, dang. Oh, who used to be there? The guy who went up? You talking about?
Yeah.
You talking about Zerto Ramirez or something?
Yeah, because a fighter where somebody is going to challenge him, and give him a test. He could have fought Jacobs or somebody. It's like somebody, but going right, from the wading pool into the ocean, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. So, it's just something to keep our eyes on. But I don't think I'll be wrong on this one. I don't, because that's just something that, again, people are wishful thinkers. They could like be hoping and praying for stuff like that, and it ain't time. It ain't their time. We got IGM Tim out there in that super chat. Salute to IGM Tim for supporting the channel and the content. Thank you, brother. Yeah, we put that out there a little bit. Stormy is always coming up with some crazy stuff, man. But thank you for that super chat there. Reggie, the next person I wanted to talk about as we go through this, I want to talk about Earl Spence Jr. because Earl, like last week when we were doing the show, I meant to mention him, but we were so tight on some other subjects, during last week's show, we didn't get a chance to highlight Earl. But it had been announced that he has gotten back with his fitness coach, Blu-ray, and that he is working on getting himself ready for this possible potential fight and unification against Yordenis Ugas. Now, we did talk about Ugas last week because I was calling him Hollywood. Remember, I said, and man, he's showing himself to be like, he got the flavor of the day and everything, even though he ain't did nothing yet in the ring. But since he got that WBA title, the guy's been wearing sunglasses at night and everything, and outfits during the day that got bling on them and everything. But Earl is getting ready, man. And getting back to Blu-ray means that he's going to be tremendously conditioned. That's one thing that Blu-ray was able to add to Earl when he was working with him, is his tremendous conditioning. And that's something to keep your eye out for, because as he, and he's getting older, Earl is past 30 now. So, getting yourself in the best of shape, that's a good thing. You got to do these things to maintain, and you're going to have some different challenges. We'll see how that affects him. And before you go to your remark, Reggie, I just want to get this second super chat out the way. We got my man General Squirrels out there. He says, salute Stormy, Reg, and my people. Peopleizations. Salute to General Squirrels out there with that super chat, man. Appreciate you, General Squirrels. Yeah, man, ain't nothing wrong with hearing the OJs when they get the super chats. So, but yeah, Reggie, what are your thoughts on Earl and getting back with Blu-ray?
I don't think nothing of what's those fitness trainers. I don't think nothing of them. I think it's about the fighter's preparation with his coach. A fighter should be in physical conditioning. I don't know. Got to see what happens. I think it's all on Derek James, not so much on Blu-ray. Blu-ray became popularized because Black mentioned him during the live stream, and everybody's been following that. I don't think nothing of Blu-ray adding to the success of Earl Spence. He's putting Earl Spence in good physical conditioning, but I think everything that plays a part in his success is with Derek James and what he teaches them in the gym as far as defense and offense and how to strategize on breaking the opponent down. I gotta give it to the trainer. I can't look at even out here they got Larry Wade, who's a big physical conditioning coach. But it's not about him. He keeps these fighters in conditioning because a lot of these fighters lack discipline of staying in shape. But like I talked to like a lot of the old trainers, they speak about that's all we did. We didn't rely on all this other stuff. We stayed in shape. We ate properly. We lived the lives of a boxer. You put in the proper training, running, all this other stuff, you're going to always be ready to go. And I don't hear nowhere else where a personal trainer is giving credit for a person's success. I can't rock with it. I think Derek James and Earl Spence maintaining a level of discipline, not gaining a bunch of weight, he'll find that success. But just because he's not stopping cats, I can't say that's attributed to him not working with him. It takes a lot more to knock guys out when you're stepping up in competition. That's my thoughts on that.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said that, Reggie, and I didn't have to say it because coming from a different mouth is sometimes very good. When you step up the level of competition, you start fighting those fighters who are at the top of the sport, the knockouts don't come as easily. You have to be able to set knockouts up and put in the work for a knockout. Guys that you fight in what I like to call showcase bouts, they are designed to go down inside the distance and feature you at your best, which is why they're called showcase fights. When you are in there against another competitor that sees himself on your level, if not better, or he feels that they are better than you, then you're going to see the resistance there. And next thing you know, you might find yourself in their net, and they may be looking to get you as the catch of the day. So it's like, that's the difference. Remember the fight with Shawn Porter. So many people who love Earl Spence Jr. don't want to give Shawn credit in that fight. But remember, Reggie, you and I did the Friday night chop session before that fight, and we were discussing it, and we thought that Shawn was going to definitely give him a challenge. And at the end of our discussion going into that fight, I had said, how about a rematch? I said that this fight is so good that I think it's going to be so competitive that when it's over with, people may want to clamor for a rematch. And that's how that fight ended. The flash knockdown that he got from Shawn Porter, it wasn't even like he put Shawn down for a big count or something, or Shawn landed flat on his back. His glove barely grazed the canvas because he took a hell of a left hook on the chin, and he buckled, but he didn't go down. And that showed that Shawn had good legs and was in great shape and conditioning. And if you ask me, I feel like that was the difference in the fight. And the fight was close enough that people don't want to give Shawn the credit for what he was doing. They like to give Earl credit for fighting Shawn's fight. And I'm like, okay, he fought Mikey's fight. He fought Shawn's fight. He fought Kells Brooks' fight. When he gonna fight his fight? Huh? It's like you find every reason to give him credit, but not the other party any credit. And Shawn was you could tell Shawn had worked on some things going into that fight, and he was prepared to battle as a champion should be. Listen, if I were a thinking man on this and everything, my thought process would be that maybe Shawn Porter is not a guy he might want to see anytime soon again. When we watched Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, those men fought 4 times, and you almost got 4 different results out of those fights. But it was highly competitive, because even after that first go round, each man felt like that they wanted to get something over or in on the other, and they fought like it. That's what happens when you are challenged by your peers, when someone is taking you to task, when someone is asking questions of you that no one else has asked of you, and you are eager to step up to that challenge and say, hey, not today. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. You don't need your fans patting you on the back saying, oh man, you beat him, you ain't got to worry about him no more. Forget that. You want to see who's the best. So, when we watch these matches, man, it's like you have to take all of those kind of things into consideration. And, the recent criticism, if you want to call it that came down the pipeline about Roy Jones Jr.'s comments. People are ready to, again, go to bat and go to the defense of Earl, but Roy has been in the sport since he was a small kid himself. He's a great, tremendous amateur, tremendous pro, now a Hall of Famer, and now as a trainer. He reserves the right to say whatever he thinks about fighters. He don't have to kiss fighters in the behind. He can kick them in the behind because he's training them. He will have forgotten more about boxing than these guys know or have learned. And the thing is, it's like, why are you coming to the defense of a grown man? A man who's competing currently in his career, currently a champion, okay, and is yet to prove himself totally yet, because there's still fights out there on the table. There's work to be done. So it's like he don't need you to defend him. Let him get in the ring and defend his titles. Especially when we have seen other guys, like you could take the names. You got Marvin Hagler and those kind of guys, Julian Jackson and those guys, great champions who were able and capable. That's all I'm saying.
That's like Faith in the Cross is bringing up a point again about the conditioning coach. Them guys in the back in the days went 15 rounds. Some of them went longer rounds than that. They didn't use strength and conditioning coaches. The thing is, everybody's looking to make shortcuts in today's eras. Everybody's synthesized with stuff. Fuel injected with supplements and all this other stuff, bulking them out, making them bigger than they'll naturally be. But also there's a tax to pay on that. They ain't got the cardio. Everything's short bursts with a lot of cats in this era that they can't go these long rounds. That's why I see a lot of them beginning to fade, because they're doing a lot of the shortcutting, and that shortcutting only gets them to a specific point before it begins to kind of fade out. You don't need all that stuff. The focus is boxing. You got to just train your body to go through the duration of it. It's gonna get it through punching on bags, working on speed bags, push-ups, running the miles, putting in all that road work. And that's the way you can do it. But some of these guys have to use strength and conditioning to keep them just in shape before they get a fight announced. Otherwise, they balloon up to 50 pounds above where they fight at, which is crazy as heck. It's crazy as heck. I mean, you might as well be retired, chilling like me or something, rather than being a fighter if you're ballooning up like that. A lot of these dudes shortcut. They can't go like the past era. They can't do that 15 round stuff. A lot of these guys couldn't. And even guys who look ripped up and cut up still don't have the endurance to go the long range, because that discipline has been lost. A lot of people are distracted in today's society. A lot of people are distracted. And that's just me from an honest observation. Like, I ain't about to create no strength and conditioning guy into a star. I ain't gonna hate on a guy trying to making money off of that, but I'm gonna give him credit for doing this in boxing to where now, hell, you might as well replace coaches with strength and conditioning coaches. But that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and it still comes down to, like you said, what his trainer, has for him, Derek James. What he has, strategies, tactics, things that he has taught him in the gym, and how to elevate that to putting it into effect in live action. A strength and conditioning coach can't help you throw a left hook or a jab, or get out of the way of a punch, or know why not to be standing there and catch a punch on the receiving end. So yeah, I agree with that too, and I'm old school, so it's like I definitely see that. Usually strength and conditioning coaches came into play when guys were moving up in weight, and they were just trying to help them train the body to have a certain percentage of body fat as they moved up, like Mackie Shieldstone did with Michael Spinks when he transitioned from light heavyweight to heavyweight, because he skipped cruiserweight. He went straight from 175 to like 20. I think he went to 202 and then 206 or something like that. When he and he was 212 when he fought Mike Tyson, which was probably a lot too heavy for him, maybe about 10 pounds too heavy for him. And he had some knee problems, but yeah, that's it. And Evander Holyfield had was it Chaz Stevenson or something, who worked with Lee Haney and them, those guys when he was putting on the weight to become a heavyweight from cruiserweight. But you know, you still got to box. You still got to be, you know, in shape, mentally and physically. And let's not forget that mental part, because as so go your mind. If your mind is in condition and ready to go through something, the body can follow the mind. But if the mind is in the gutter, guess where the body is going to be laying very soon? In the gutter. So, but yeah, man. Early in the show, Reggie, I wanted to mention this. I didn't get a chance to do so because I had audio problems early on. But I wanted to mention that I had another notification for the channel. And salute to everybody that's out there in the chat. But I wanted to say that I received this notification yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I forgot to even put it up there. But the Stormybman channel achieved this goal yesterday of 200,000 views for May 13th, which was yesterday, 2021. So as you can see, the channel is still moving forward in a very progressive manner, where we have a lot of people tuning in for the content, and that's a great thing. Salute to everybody out there that's supporting the channel, even just by giving us a look-see, because it means that, you know, something is happening very positive over here. And with Video IQ, who sends me these updates on how the channel is doing analytic wise and everything, I just wanted to put that out there and acknowledge the chat, acknowledge those who follow me and who have signed up as members, or who have donated and purchased merchandise and everything. So it's all a part of that process, but I really appreciate that, and you guys helping me to achieve this landmark, and it's onward and upward from here. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it growing. So just wanted to say that, and thank you so much. Getting back to the fights and the fighters, Reggie, it was announced also that we are going to see a fight next month, a rematch between Badou Jack and Jean Pascal. These two guys are gonna face off again. They faced off, what was it, in 2019, I think it was, and both guys had touched the canvas in that fight, and Jack lost a split decision to Jean Pascal. So these two men are gonna do it again, Reggie. Did you hear about that news?
Yeah, are they on that Floyd undercard, right?
I only checked in on the news on them. I did not look at anything else regarding their cards. So it's like I just was when I saw that these two guys were gonna go at it again, it reminded me of their first fight right away, because this was one of those fights where you were looking for Badou Jack to pick it up, right? And he went down early. Excuse me, but he had Pascal down late. So I don't know, man. I just kind of like when you get these old war horses in there, and they can make great battles. So I kind of like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to tune in for that one, because something crazy may happen, man. It's just, that's how boxing is. But I love that. You know, I love that. These two men, they don't have to do it, but they're going to do it. And it's hard getting these other guys in the ring for the first time. So salute to these old war horses. And that's what I call them, because they are both past, you know, prime, and it's a money fight. It's a money grab for both of them. Your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts is, man, I want to say this about Badou. When people use the word warrior for boxers, Badou Jack face ought to appear on that, because he is one of the truest warriors within the game of boxing. And to watch somebody get robbed as much as this dude and never complain, I will break a whole boxing ring if I was Badu Jack. I'll be flipping over tables, and this dude just stays humble, go right back in there, put on great performances. I ain't never watched a boring Badu Jack fight. You see these waves that go in, like these kind of hills that go through his fights, where he starts off slow, it's kind of a build-up fight. The opponent is going up ahead, and then Badu Jack starts to pick it up, and it starts to kind of pull through with the fight, and then he comes into these judge decisions and fights that he ends up losing. But they've always been good bang type fights. And he's the only thing that has hampered him, and which is something I don't think he too much cares about spotlights, is just put him in the ring. He's willing to fight anyone. He's just quiet. And that's the reason why he gets kind of put in the shadows. He ain't so much in the forefront. He doesn't have too big of a fan base because I know he helms from somewhere else, like where is he from? Norway or something like that. No, he got like a Norwegian parent and an African parent, but he's from somewhere else.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get the huge American following, which he should, because just being who he is, he's a warrior. He's one of the truest dudes you see in this game. You watch him in a fight that should have been stopped with his whole head busted, and he warred his way all the way through there. Didn't even think about quitting. You don't see any quitting this dude. You don't see any complaining this guy. He just gets in there and he fights. And I thought he should have won that Pascal fight. Thought he should have won the DeGale fight. Thought he should have won the what's his name? The one that ended up getting hurt, who I think he ended up ruining. What's his name? The guy out of Canada, Stevenson. I thought he ruined Adonis Stevenson. That led to Voshvik being able to finish him off. But I want to see that fight. I'm shocked with Pascal. I'm shocked with what Pascal's able to do at this age. And even the way he boxed Marcus Brown, he put a whooping on Marcus Brown. I thought Jean Pascal had no shot in hell of being in that fight. And he turned everything around in that fight. He was maxing on Marcus Brown. Marcus Brown didn't want to rematch him. I was like, Marcus Brown was shocked by that. But this old dude, that's an experience.
You are absolutely right, Reggie. I mean, you beat me to that comment. He put it on Marcus Brown, man. Pascal, and you know what it was, Reggie? Experience. His experience carried him through that fight. And it shows what I was talking about earlier about Caleb Plant. Because remember, Marcus Brown was being touted as a guy who's going to be the man at that weight, right? And it is like, okay, he's coming. He's a comer. Well, Pascal turned back that challenge easily. And he'll never be the same because he got in there with a man who could fight, and he got his behind whooped, Reggie. He got his behind whooped 8 ways from Sunday. Okay, there was nothing that Brown could do to get out of the way of the certain punches that Pascal was throwing in that fight. He was able to bang him to the body and batter him pretty well. He was able to take his heart. Okay, these are things that transpired. I'm not making this up. This was real, and it was a performance that a veteran fighter can pull out. Remember, Pascal had rough fights with Bernard Hopkins, Kovalev. You know what I'm saying? It's like there was nothing that Brown could do to him that was gonna, like set him, off his square. It's like, what are you gonna do? Punch him hard? He's been punched hard before. Knock him down? He's been knocked down before. Huh? So when you have a veteran fighter like that, and you've been used to getting guys out of there early, you don't go the distance because you've been fighting all these setup fights. Now you're in there with a wily veteran like this, and you got 12 rounds to work with. Who you think gonna be most likely make it to 12? You or him? You see, that's that thing about the sweet science. I love it. And when these two guys fought each other, Badu Jack and Pascal, it was two experienced fighters fighting each other. That's why the fight was so much better, because these men, they know tricks of the trade, Reggie. You know, they know how to catch a breather at a certain time. They know how to go after a guy to still around. They know how to stay away from a guy to coasting around. You know what I'm saying? So that's why fights like this are so juicy. It's like you're going to see something when you see veterans perform in fights like this. But the reason that they get to be where they are is because of the challenges that they've had in their careers prior to now. With Badou Jack, he's fought with an eye closed. He's fought with that big cut in his head. He's always had those close decision losses and everything. It's like, so he's like Teflon. He's been tested. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so when these guys meet up together, there's a challenge. It's like looking in the mirrors almost, you know? Not that their styles are the same, but they're the same on the inside. So that's what I wanted to say. You got anything else on that?
No, but I can't wait to see them fight again. But like I say, once again, Badou Jack, when you speak to the word warrior, Badou Jack face all appear on there, because he is one of the true warriors out here in the game of boxing, like in every fashion of the word. And once again, he gets overlooked because of his demeanor. He's a quiet demeanor, but you put him in that ring, he's a mean dude.
Yeah, man. I just wish that more fighters would pay attention to men like this and what they do and how they go about their work, because it's to be respected. You know what I mean? It's not something that just easily overlook. You know, and as you said, he may have been the one who got Stevenson, you know, decimated to that point where by the time Gavaskit got in there with him, you know, he really didn't have much left. Very tough man and tough fighter, you know. So that's right, Faith in the Cross. They are KG veterans. Yep. And see, these are the kind of fighters that guys like a Caleb Plant or something should be fighting to get themselves ready for the current champion. If you can't best a guy like this, you ain't got no business fighting for the title. You agree with that, Reggie?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because they're past it. I'm sorry, what'd you say?
No, I said, but boxing lacks that structure. Yeah.
Because these are the kind of guys, like if you can't beat them, you don't deserve a title shot or whatever, because they are one-time champions and current champion as far as Pascal. But it's like, you know, you just need that type of test. Now let's get down to what's going to be taking place tomorrow night, Reggie. We got the fight between Buatsi and Dos Santos, man. These two guys, it's going to be on the DAZN card, and it's Matchroom again. These two men, I've seen Buatsi fight a few times, and I think I saw Santos fight in his last fight. It's going to be very interesting. The battle of the beards here. Both these guys got big beards. And I remember a time when they wouldn't let fighters fight with beards because they thought that beards actually absorbed the blows from a punch. So now guys are coming in there with the Fu Manchu and the full woolly mammoth beards and everything now. So, but it's going to be interesting because this is the type of fight that I think both of these guys are a little bit vulnerable, but they are exciting and their styles are crowd pleasing. So, I mean, what are your thoughts here?
I don't too much remember the Santos, but I remember Buatsi. And remember, I think I've seen a couple of his fights. I know he has that aggressive style. He tries to get fighters up out of there. I like his style. I've still got to check on who DeSantos is. So I don't want to be biased in going for Buatsi because I have seen him fight, and I like his his aggressive style. So that's the most I know.
You get the one there?
Yeah, it makes a difference when these guys are fighting people that you may know. You know, it's like, and again, this is that Intercontinental title. I think these guys are fighting over there on the UK side. Boissy reminds me of, I'm trying to think of his name. He ended up working with Linux a lot. Guy was a cruiserweight. Light heavyweight. Can't think of his name right now. But he was another UK guy, and he was that kind of fighter that in your face, you know what I mean? In your face, physical, strong guy. What is his name? Do you remember the guy that used to work with Linux? He man. And I know when
I can't even call it.
His name just is on the tip of my tongue. Egerton. I'm trying to think of his name. I think his first name is Egerton. And he fought back in the early 90s. I can't think of his name, but he was in Lennox's camp after he stopped fighting. He was in Lennox's camp. He used to work with Lennox a lot, and they're very good. It's not Egerton Martin. I can't think of his name, but he gave Lennox a lot of work, especially like when he was preparing for Evander Holyfield and stuff like that. I can't think of his name, and then when we end the show, the name will come to me. I know it. But yeah, this fight right here, I think it's worth tuning into, Reggie, because I think you're going to see some real, some real action here. Salute to the chat. No, guys, I'm not thinking of a trainer. I'm thinking of a fighter. Marcus. Is it Egerton Marcus? He's got a weird name. I know it's like a Jamaican thing. They have like two first names or something. But yeah, that guy. That's who Boissy reminds me of when he fights. I just can't think of the guy right now. But no, I think it's a fight worth tuning into, Reggie. And of course, they're going to have an undercard and everything. I don't know all the names on the undercard, but I do think that this is going to be one worth tuning into. And then later on in the evening, we have the big fight between Luis Nery and Brandon Figueroa, which that fight right there, it's going to be interesting, Reggie. It's going to be interesting because this is going to be, and people have talked about this being a fight where, it's going to be action-packed. Probably like a Gotti Ward type deal. What are your Egerton Marcus? Thank you, fellas. Thank you, Bruce Goes. Yes, thank you. I see this fight being definitely a busy fight. I expect the leather to fly in this fight, Reggie. I don't know about you, but I do expect to see at least that in this bout. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, because I want to see, because Figueroa's kind of tall for that division, right? I want to see how Nery is able to find ways to dealing with that height, but I don't, and how disciplined does Figueroa stay with trying to utilize his height? Because I know he's gonna want to go in there and bang. That's kind of their style, and even with his inside fighting, he leaves himself wide open. What ended up shortening his brother's career in these last two fights for his brother could be the same thing that happens to him if Neri comes in there and fight that effective style that he fights with. He's highly skilled. I like Neri's skill. I was just wondering if he was gonna make weight. He was nervous as heck, but he made weight. Seen him getting back hydrated, so if he can come in here and be himself and perform the way that Neri performs, I think he can take advantage of some of the mistakes that Figueroa and them make, and that's Figueroa giving up height. So I think I got Neri pulling this one off. I wonder if he can get the stop. I'm not too big on the Figueroas at all, but I want to see if Neri can pull this one off. Don't think Figueroa is going to stay disciplined enough to fight a tall man style fight. He's going to go in there and give up his height to the shorter dude, and it's going to cost him. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I think that Figueroa is probably going to fight a little more of a spirited fight because, you know, his brother really stunk up the joint, you know, last week and 2 weeks ago, I think that was. And we need to see better. You know, we need to see better. And he's, you know, that falls in his lap. It's his responsibility to come out there and give a more solid effort, to look more like a professional and not be out there, you know, for shits and giggles. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about some of these fighters, where they don't realize that being a pro is 100% your responsibility when you get out there. You know, you don't just show up, you know, and go through the paces. You have to go out there and give a solid, wholehearted effort, man. You don't go out there and be goofing around and whatnot. And, you know, sometimes at some point, pride should kick in. You know what I mean? You feel like, oh, I got to do this for more than just, you know, the love of it or whatever. It's like I gotta send a message home. Neri, we'll see. Like you said, he made weight, and he's looking. You know, he's looking to take this opportunity and move forward. What I like about this fight too is you just don't know what's gonna happen. So you kind of like, it's like a car wreck. You got to tune in and see. You know what I mean? But it's definitely, you know, it's a match that we'll be watching tomorrow. We'll do a post fight on it, and we'll see how close we are as far as. I think that he's gonna get inside and try to get up under Figueroa, you know, with that height and everything, get inside that reach and start, you know, working on that body and coming up through from the inside, hooks and uppercuts, but it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. But like you said, the Figueroa brothers, it's like you know, you have brother tandems out there in boxing that are well representing in the sport, and then you kind of have some guys that, like, maybe one of them might have a little something and the other one's like, meh, you know. So it is what it is. But I look forward to it, man. It's funny that for the month of May, we've had boxing every single weekend, so it's been great, you know.
And what you saying, that's why I don't know why people complain about not having this and not having that. We've been getting so much boxing. We just ain't getting the popular dudes fighting, but there is a lot of boxing. Wish they had structure, but there is a lot of boxing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we'll take it. You know what I mean? It's better than having none. You know, that's one way I look at it. So, but yeah, why don't you go ahead and give us some final thoughts, Reggie, and remind everyone where they can find you. It's been a great conversation. We talked about some things tonight that other people ain't talk about. That's one of the things I kind of, let me just say this for a moment here. It's one of the things I kind of pride myself with our show, that we don't just talk about everything that everybody else talk about, but we find subject and content to kind of have conversation about. The chat's participation helps a lot. And then, sometimes you have things to contribute in there. And I really like that we're just not repetitive. You know what I mean? Because, like, you have guys that's on all day long, and some people just talk about the same subject. You pass it off to this guy, you pass it off to that guy, and they pass it off. We don't do that. So it's pretty cool. I like that. I like that because it's a lot of originality in what we do and creativity in it as well. So I love that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, go ahead and let everybody know where they can follow you. If you got any final thoughts and everything, share, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another good show. Another good one, man. And thank everybody tuning in. Y'all hit that like button before you get out. And catch you guys next Friday. Oh, matter of fact, tomorrow for the post fight. So catch you guys tomorrow. See what these fighters do. And we'll keep it pushing. But that's all I got, folks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, again, a great show, being able to come out here and discuss this wonderful sport. I apologize for those early minutes of the audio. I didn't even notice that the audio wasn't like my graphic that moves when I speak or you speak. It wasn't moving. And usually when the music is playing or something, it does move. And everybody was saying, with no sound, no sound. So it's like, dang, man. But that was a glitch. But we made it through once again and getting better and better at these situations that come up like this, because sometimes when you have, these little glitches like this, you need something to pull you through. And that's what we've had, man. I like that. Like that we're able to pull through that, get through it, do what we got to do, and be in and out, So maybe we'll see something in the near future, Reggie, where we'll have another change in the Thunderous Top 10. But for right now, we're going to stand pat with what we got with the Thunderous Top 10. So let that just be known. But yeah, man, we're going to get on up out of here. Everybody enjoy the fights that's coming up this weekend. Make sure you tune in and check us out for the post-fight show. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow evening. Peace to everybody out there. Have a good evening. Enjoy the fights tomorrow.